Yeti microphone. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm not quite sure why that did that, but I should have sound coming through now. I do apologize if I was having a little bit of technical problems while I was trying to pick up the sound. Okay, all right, sound check is good. Okay, so I'll pull out the earplugs and we'll get into this because I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. Anyway, I will definitely put the start time for this live stream down in the description so you can skip past all of this as I do my sound check. I do apologize. I had obviously set up this particular OBS presentation a long time ago, and it's changed all the settings every time it updates. So I do apologize for that. Look, if you've never watched my live streams, normally what I do is I present everything first and then I open it up to questions. But I highly recommend saying hi to me, asking questions, giving feedback, anything that you might find useful, and we'll go from there, okay? So we're going to get started and crack into this. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and today we're going to cover the Monster Manual. Now, I'm going to do a series of videos on this topic. I've been planning to do this for a long time. This is, I wouldn't say an expansion of the monster tactic videos that I've done before. I would say it's more what was supposed to follow, or at least come before the monster tactic videos. I just hadn't figured out the format of how I would do them. I have actually figured out some basic format, and it's clear that people wanted these types of videos in the first place. So now we're going to do them. So let's start off with something nice and simple, something you would use quite often, and that is the guard. So see page 347 of the Monster Manual for Dungeons & Dragons 5e for details on the guard. It gives you a stat block, a very, very brief rundown of sort of basically what guards might be, what sort of form they take. They can include members of the City Watch, sentries in a citadel, or fortified town. They can be bodyguards for merchants and nobles. They can be mercenaries of some nature. So all of those encompasses the guard. Guards operate a particular way, but there is some variation depending on who they are guarding, what they are guarding, and why they are guarding something. And I can't go into all the top tactics for a guard in one video today because I'm covering a lot of other stuff as well, and I'm going to give you an example. So we're going to go over the stat block very, very quickly, and then from there I'm going to sort of talk very briefly about some of the areas that I think you might want to consider when using your guard. So the guard is fairly simple. You can have it any alignment you like. It's a humanoid, so you can pick any race you want. Its armor class is 16, so it's pretty average for chain shirt and a shield. If you decide not to use the shield, then it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to wind up in a situation where their armor class is a 14. There's 11 hit points on them. You can change this. You do not need to have your guards have 11 hit points. That's just the average. You could give them full hit points, or you could give them more if you wanted to. They have a speed of 30 feet. Pretty standard stuff. Their redeeming factor is they are generally reasonably strong and reasonably quick, and everything else is pretty flat and reasonable constitution. So they are designed to be in the front line. They have perception as a skill that's trained, which makes a lot of sense. If you're a guard, you need to be able to be aware of your location and your surroundings. A passive perception of 12. Languages, you can pretty much pick any language you like, it doesn't really matter. And obviously common. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for your players to interact with the guard. And then we get it. This is just a 25 hit points or challenge rating 1/8. So it's not really the kind of monster or NPC that you run in an attempt to level up your players' characters. And I will explain to you as we go why. It has one action that you have available to you. You can go melee or you can go at ranged, and that is the spear. It has a range of, well, if it's melee and up close, it's 5 foot, But if you decide to throw the spear, it's 20 feet, and beyond 20 feet up to 60 feet, it's disadvantaged. You can still throw it. Beyond 60 feet, it's no longer effective. Its attack modifier is a +3, which is pretty low. It's less than your level 1 character, so they are more likely than not going to hit their target compared to the player's characters. They do a damage of 4 hit points, and that's piercing. That's only if you're taking the average. You can roll for your damage, which is a 6-sided dice +1, or you could go two-handed and get 5 hit points of damage, and you roll a 8-sided dice +1. That's if you're using 2 hands and it's melee. Otherwise, ranged attacks, it's going to be 1 6-sided dice +1, and that's it. There's nothing else to the stat block. It's pretty simple. It's as stripped back as you might think anything could be. In fact, it almost seems like a boring monster or NPC to run. So why would you use it? Well, there are quite obvious reasons. You need to have guards somewhere. Now, you can equip your guard with any kind of simple or martial weapons. They do not need to just have a spear, so you can give them something else. The tactics for any kind of guard, as I said, tend to range. You'll find mercenaries will operate very differently to guards that are residing in a city watch or in a castle. Mercenaries are going to be more likely to be vicious or fatal in the kinds of wounds that they inflict, whereas city guard and castle guards are going to be unlikely to be sort of killing everybody they come across. And I'll explain to you why in a second. So guard tactics can be essentially very different. But one of the things to understand about any kind of guard is that guards' general tactics are not to fight unless they have no other choice, and usually they only try to get into a fight if they're dealing with a situation where they have overwhelming forces. This is a guard. I'm not talking about an army. Overwhelming forces. Think about your police force. When they get into a situation and things are out of their hand, they're not going to go and play the 50-50 chance. They're going to go with call for backup. Same thing applies with guards. And they are trained. So guards tend to defeat whoever they're dealing with, whoever is a threat, by convincing their foe to surrender peacefully without there ever being a fight of any kind whatsoever. So this is the basic rundown as I understand it for a guard. The guard's mode of tactics based on their training looks something like this. Stay aware of danger. If there is danger, warn others of the threat first. They don't necessarily take it upon themselves to engage in combat first. Their first port of call is going to be to make other people aware that they are under threat. So that means warning somebody of the threat, yelling out, calling out, ringing a bell if there's an alarm bell, blowing a whistle, or maybe there's some sort of magical alarm that they can activate. There's lots of different ways that they can signal to somebody else that there is a threat, that's a danger to them, so that they can keep themselves alive. Next is seeking reinforcements, so getting help if they are outnumbered, or there's a chance of them being killed or injured. Not badly injured, but just injured. And before all of this takes place, okay, there's always the talking aspect. So if there's not an immediate threat of danger, then obviously they are trained and told that talking is better than fighting. So persuasion first, warning, and then threaten last. And that might be just a verbal threat before there's a physical threat. So think about how you might have approached or dealt with an individual who was, say, a security guard in a shop. Usually they will try to persuade you first, provided you haven't done anything that's physically offensive. Or they will warn you after that, and then there is the threat. Now the threat will look different depending on the situation for the guard. So I'm going to open it up and show you our little combat for today and run through just a little sort of a mock combat so you can see how the guard is operating. Here we go. There it is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write down guard in the middle and run you through a scenario. I'm using the Woeful Wench. I'm using the same map I used a couple of days ago. I do realize this. It's just easier for me to do it that way. So guard. So we'll open our scene up. We have a very drunk dwarf cleric over here getting absolutely stonkered, and unfortunately they've been drinking far too much, and the bartender says, look, I can't serve you anymore, you'll need to leave, I'm not going to give you any more. And the dwarf gets really upset about this and angry and starts sort of breaking stuff. This is a signal to the bartender that things are getting out of hand, and so he sort of walks off to the side, lets somebody know, and they go and call the city guard to come and sort out this drunk individual, this drunk dwarf. So they're going to show up. Now normally when you're dealing with guards, it would be silly to have only one guard. If you're going to have guards, have at least two or more. So I'm going to have two. We'll say they were in patrol and they were called in, and they come over and they say to this dwarf, look, you need to settle down, you're breaking furniture, and the bartender here tells me that you're not going to be served drinks because you've gotten drunk and you're a bit rowdy. Maybe you should just let us know where you live and we'll take you home. But this dwarf is not going to have anything to do with this, and starts getting rowdy and angry, and at this point maybe picks up a cup or draws their weapon. Maybe they have a warhammer sitting at their hilt, and they draw that out, or at their belt. This is where the guards will obviously do their normal process of try to persuade, warn them of the action, and threaten next. Now it might be a verbal threat, or it could be a physical threat. Now I'm going to have my guards, in this case, I'm going to say that they are both just carrying spears, they don't have shields, which means the armor class is now 14. I'm taking away the shield, which adds a +2, just for the sake of my sanity and making it easy for you guys to figure out. So combat ensues. So how does that look as the dwarf starts to lunge towards them with a readied warhammer? Well, we're going to roll some initiative. We'll do our normal process. So the guard has an initiative modifier of +1 because that's what their dexterity modifier is. So I roll a 20-sided dice. Whoops, wrong dice. Am I doing that? I think it's these guys over here. There we go. Right, I rolled a 3. +1 means that they get an initiative of 4. So 4 is the number we want. And then we're going to put down our drunk in a second once we roll the initiative for them. So grab another dice, roll 20. I'm using the cleric from the Dungeons & Dragons starter set for those of you who are unsure what the modifier is. Now the dexterity modifier for the cleric in the Dungeons & Dragons starter set is a -1 to the modifier. So that's 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 is still higher than the guards. So we're going to go here and we're going to put down drunk. There we go, nice and simple. We'll put some hit points in here so that you can see what's going on, just like that. Our guards have 11 hit points. There's 2 of them, so I'm going to create 2 different boxes, just like that. And our drunk, I believe, has 11 hit points as well. So there we go. Unfortunately, if you are drunk, you're also going to get disadvantaged. You're essentially poisoned by the alcohol that is passing through your body. Okay, so we've got it all ready to go. I'm going to use this magnet here to indicate who goes first. So the drunk is going to move in first and swing away at the front guard. Very, very simple. Grab our dice, roll a 20-sided dice. I rolled a critical hit. That's a 20. 20 means it doesn't matter what I add to the 20 because it's going to hit and it's going to do critical damage. Not a very good start for guards, but never mind. This sort of thing happens. Normally the modifier for this would be a +4, but as I said, it doesn't matter in this situation. So we'll get rid of that dice. I get to, with a critical hit, instead of rolling the normal 8-sided dice plus 2 for the cleric, I'm going to get to roll, whoops, I forgot, it's disadvantage. So the 20 won't mean very much because I rolled a 14. I take the lowest result. Sorry about that, almost forgot. The cleric is drunk. So 14 plus 4 is a total of 18. That is equal to or greater than the armor class of the guards, which currently have 14 as the armor class. So it's going to hit. We don't have to do the critical damage, which is good. Roll our 8-sided dice, add 2 to that for the modifier. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4 damage. And we will deduct it from the top guard. Make life easy for me. So that was 4, and so that's 7. There we go. Current hit points for that particular individual. So that is our drunk. And now we move on to the guards. Now both guards will get to act. Now I know what you're thinking. What sort of tactics should I be using if I am engaging in combat? Now guards aren't necessarily going to be trained like a full-fledged police officer. So what I want you to understand is that things like grapple and shove and trying to pin and restrain them are probably not going to be things they do. What they will quite likely utilize in combat are things like the dodge action, and certainly if they're using a melee weapon, they would consider knocking their foe out or whoever they're trying to subdue rather than killing them. Because if the city guard are constantly killing anybody who gets into a rowdy drunken brawl, then of course there's going to be some problems. But knocking them out is certainly something they would consider doing. And this is essentially what my guards are going to do. Okay, so I get rid of that. I roll a first attack for guard number 1, which is a 1. That is a complete miss. Now I believe that if you are drunk, you have disadvantage on your attacks. And if you're poisoned, I don't remember off the top of my head whether that means that you also have advantage. It may well mean that you also have advantage, but I'm just trying to fathom if I can remember what it is. Somebody's going to let me know. Hopefully I don't get that one wrong. Okay. Anyway, next one makes an attack. We get a 12. So 12 plus, I believe it is 3. We're using 2 hands with our spear. So that's a 12 plus 3 is 15 against the armor class of our cleric, who has an armor class of 18. So that misses. So both guards are going to miss. Unfortunately, these sorts of things do happen. Okay, so we roll round. Now they would be shouting out at this point, and we're back to the drunk. Now things haven't gone very well. One guard is already injured. It's at this point that guards will operate very differently compared to what you would normally see. So first off, the one that got injured is going to disengage, knowing fully well that hopefully his buddy is going to cover him. So he's going to disengage as an action and move. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's all they can do. This guard here has an opportunity to stay here. Now it's 1 against 1 now. That's not good odds. But block the way so that the buddy can move out and call for more assistance. On top of that, an opportunity for you to make another attack. So roll your attack dice, which is a 20. I rolled a 2, plus 3 is only 5. So that misses. Okay, so that's, believe it or not, did I just miss the drunk? I think I might have missed the drunk. Whoops. We'll do it now anyway. Now the drunk got a 9. And I believe that is a total of, what is it? It's going to be 13. So 9 plus 4, 13. 13 is not enough to hit the guards. So thankfully that didn't work out too badly. So I kind of skipped the drunk accidentally. Guards have already taken their turn. We're back to the drunk again. Okay. Sorry about that. It was a little bit of a mess up. Okay, so the drunk makes their attack. Still really angry. Roll your hammer. I rolled a 1. So 1 is a automatic miss. Doesn't matter what the modifiers are, it's going to miss. Okay. This point, I'm going to have the guards do something else. This guard here is going to stay put, is going to be yelling out for assistance, and moves over and is going to ready an action to attack anybody who is not his buddy coming through the door. So if the dwarf tries to follow him through the door, he's got a ready action to attack. When he's calling out still, this individual here, and you can disengage at this point, but often a better option to disengaging is the dodge action. Although you can still be attacked, they have disadvantage on you. Now, it's a drunk dwarf. Now, if it wasn't a drunk dwarf, dodge would make sense. But this individual already knows that, hey, it's a drunk dwarf, it isn't going to matter, they've got disadvantage, they're going to roll 2 dice. Well, they don't know they're going to roll 2 dice, but they know they're going to likely to miss. So instead, we're going to disengage. But if it had not been a drunk individual, I would definitely have taken the dodge action. So disengage, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and blocking the door. Now, we don't need to block the door if we don't want to. We can go to here if we want and allow the ready action from this guard to be activated when the dwarf tries to go through the door. The dwarf might not follow. In fact, they might just try to go back and get their booze. But let's keep following this process, shall we? So the guards are done. It's time for the drunk. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, so the dwarf is here. There's an opportunity for the dwarf to attack. There's cover involved because of the corner of the doorway. But the ready action is going to come into play first. So grab your attack dice, and because the drunk dwarf has tried to follow, make your attack. Now the dwarf will have a +2 because of cover. So their AC is normally 18, plus cover is going to mean that armor class is now 20. I rolled a 15 on the dice for the attack from the guard. On top of that, I'm going to add my modifier, which is 3. It's only going to come to 15 plus 3 is 18, so it misses. But it doesn't matter. Now, here's the opportunity for the dwarf to make an attack against the guard or continue moving. I'm going to go with make an attack with disadvantage, since I keep forgetting to do that. So roll 2 dice, take the lowest result. And some of those dice are cocked. I think that one is definitely the cocked one, so I've got a 4 and a 16. So I take the lowest result from the 16 and the 4, so 4. 4 plus the attack modifier, which is 4, is 8. It's not enough to hit the guard. So you kind of see the process of how you utilize your guard. Very, very simple. You can obviously at this point decide I'm going to move further back, and instead of making an attack by sparing my individual, I might throw or hurl the spear. So that's what we're going to do next. We'll go back to the guards. First attack. Now you can line yourself up so you've got a good line. Grab your attack dice, which is D20. Roll your dice. Okay, so I rolled, what is that? I think that's a 9 plus 3 is 12. Still doesn't hit the dwarf and no longer has a spear in their hand, which is a bad thing. But anyway, I was here. I've moved 5, 10, 15. I can continue to move another 15. You can split your movement. We're just going to have the guard continue off. Okay? I know you can't necessarily see what was taking place, but the guard was on the outside of the map and threw a spear and missed. This guard here has an opportunity. The other buddy has obviously gone for a runner. They decided the dwarf, the drunk dwarf, is too much to handle, and it's better to go and get some assistance. So hence, I'm going to take not the dodge action. I'm going to disengage. I can also move and try to move a lot faster and run, because the chances are the dwarf will not hit the guard because they're drunk, they're poisoned. Okay, so a couple of different options you can take: disengage or simply move. I'm going to go with just a move. So we'll double move, go off the map, and let's have our dwarf take a reaction and an attack of opportunity or opportunity attack. I rolled a 1 and a 12. So that I had to take 1, which is an automatic miss. Now, if this had played out differently, a situation like this, and there'd been a ruckus in the tavern, and instead of just having to deal with something like our cleric, and there were other people involved, then these guards would definitely have backed out. They would not have gotten aggressive about things. They might have gone through the process of persuading, warning, and might have decided that a threat was a bad idea, but certainly a warning, and then moved off and left. And of course your characters might be thinking, okay, we've done quite nicely, or whether they might have attacked, but whatever happens is they're going to come back with reinforcements, overwhelming numbers. I think one of the things that Dungeon Masters tend to forget is that all it takes is for one guard to set up and alert others to what's going on, and they bring a horde of guards with them, extra assistance for any battle that might take place, and obviously include veterans, not just your standard guards as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted to sort of talk about with regard to guards today and how they work. I've kind of shown you how to use them in melee or close quarter combat. We've used the spear and taken a shot by throwing a spear. We've utilized, I didn't utilize the shield option, which obviously gives them more armor class, but really you must get the point. Your armor class is going to be a 16 rather than it being something like a 14. That's the only difference there is. Okay, so hopefully you found this interesting, entertaining, useful, educational. If you did, please like and share the video. If you like this sort of content, I am going to continue to do monster manual videos on various monsters in the monster manual. I will also do tactic videos. I'm only going to do a little bit of tactic stuff in the monster manual videos, because if I try to give you too much, it's going to be too hard to sort of deal with. If you like this sort of thing, as I said, I'm going to continue doing it. So consider subscribing, hitting the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. If you want to support my channel, you did so by watching this video, and thank you very much. By watching more of my videos, you will continue to support me, and I really appreciate it when you do so. I don't do Patreon, but down in the description you will find affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon, where you can buy stuff online if you want. I get a small commission. You pay exactly the same price as you normally would. Go through the link, buy what you want. You do not have to buy the thing I have linked to. Now, this is where I'm going to open it up in the live chat. If you have any questions, if you would do things differently, let me know now. I certainly will try to explain as much as I can. If you're not part of the live stream though, that's what the comment section is all about. So you can ask your questions down in the comment section when you're ready and when you see this video. Otherwise, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. All right, just let me grab a drink of water. A little bit tongue-tied today. I think I made maybe a couple of mistakes along the way, but I'm hoping that people will find this useful. This is just basically how to use your guard and some really rudimentary tactics and how they might operate and what they might do. And I'm going to make it quite clear now, this is just how I would do it. You do not need to agree with me. Nothing in the comments, so I guess we're going to be finishing up right there. Okay, thank you for everybody who came, and I will catch up with you in a couple of days. I'm going to put out a couple of pre-recorded videos. One obviously will be the character building druid that I did the other day, and I just need to get that sorted out. I'm just waiting for the final edit to come down, and once that's all processed, I'll be able to release that sometime tomorrow. You will probably see another edited video the day after, because I've got Dungeons and Dragons I'll be playing, so I won't be able to be doing videos. And that means that on, I believe it is Sunday around about, I believe it's going to be about 12 o'clock New Zealand Standard Time. That's 12 p.m. noon. I'm going to be running another Dungeon Master Guide, and it will be on the Curse of Strahd and the adventure hooks and how to use them for the adventure campaign, the Curse of Strahd, and the Death House, if you decide to only run the Death House and nothing else, and none of the Curse of Strahd adventure. Once that's done, we're going to go back to our normal programming of the Lost Mine of Fandelver on my days off. Okay, all right. And that's it. It seems like that's it for today. I'll see you later.